Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rachakwadash. Double honor speak to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well and have taught us this 100% truth. Much peace and blessings be unto you, hopeful, elect out the pushing out this word of truth and sincerity. To all you Achim, I do say Shalom. I am the Ach. I'm coming in with a quick a little lesson, quick it probably, going back to the basics. Isaiah the 9th chapter, verse 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. And, that's pretty astonishing because I made the mention now, there's like a pretty basic, renowned verse, but for back in the ancient world, with the prophet Isaiah and varying others that spoke about thermonuclear destruction, it was a more so wondrous and terrifying thing that even they didn't understand it. What's it called? And we know that back then, ancient wars, as described here, were fought with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. Right? You get a good look at that, though dramatized, in the Viking show on Netflix, and it's a spin-off series, the Valhalla one, right? Even the anime Vinland Saga, right? And the movie Samson, right? Varying other films with ancient wars. They were fought with cavalries. Bowman. Another film that comes to mind is the movie Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner, a good actor. Good film too. That was my favorite movie back when I was little. And you see how those bloody fights are. Hell, freaking, Shakespeare's books, or not his books, his plays that have been, redone as movies, right? Like, the movie, Romeo and Juliet. I believe it was the 96 one, or possibly a different one. I'll just fact check it. Nope, not the 96 one. I was talking about the old one. That thing was a 68. Yeah, the 68 version, 1968 version. Honestly, I forget the characters, but I just remember, there being some deaths. Well, obviously the freaking play has deaths. But if I recall, there are bloody garments. Right, another example could be that one game, Kingdom Deliverance, the first and the second installment. Obviously, it's set in medieval Europe, and that goes to show you how, it wasn't any war post, Isaiah's death. Right, back in recorded history, because really what Isaiah was referring to was a war that hasn't happened yet, but it will soon. Right, and that'll take place with World War III. So-called hypothetical war, not hypothetical, more so just it's waiting basically. It's in line to happen. Right. In the book of Revelation, 11th chapter, verse 14, and doth make the mention how the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And we look into that word woe, it means death and destruction. As much as it means, weeping, mourning, lamentation, sorrow, anything to do with grief, It also means physical destruction. And time at the second Ezra, the 15th chapter, we know one of those plagues that hit this place is exactly that, destruction. Second Ezra 15:5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Right?
Fear not the imaginations of...
Therefore saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. Yeah, because, up to this point, the heathen have had a part in beating us down. And, sure, to us, our perception of time is drastically different, and a lot slower than the spirit realm. And regarding that fact, it's only safe to say, not assume, but say confidently, Yahweh hasn't forgotten. And frankly, even if, our perception of time was the same as over there in the spirit realm, the Lord still wouldn't forget, because he is the Most High Spirit, the Most High God. Obviously, he's gonna remember everything, right? It was Isaiah 55:11, right? If I'm mistaken, or perhaps verse 9 or so. My thoughts are higher than your thoughts. When I think about that, I see an implication, and that goes to show you how the Lord could, literally multitask. Now, scientists have done studies on, do humans really multitask? And the answer is hell the frick no. You can't just multitask. When you hear people talk about, oh, I'm multitasking, you ain't multitasking for jack, dude. You're task switching. That's the term that Esau done coined. His scientists coined that, task switching. So you're basically doing three things, in the same period of time, but not simultaneously, right? So say you gotta cook, clean, and be on the phone, for an important phone call. You're cooking while on the phone, and then you quickly put off your kitchen groove, and then you start cleaning while still on the phone, right? Then you go back, and while you're on the phone call, you also lose your train of thought, because you're trying to redirect your focus on three different things. So really, we can't multitask. We only task switch. Yahweh, and the rest of the Elohim, however, hey, they could, right? Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai could. There are a lot of prophecies happening. A lot of things popping off in the earth. The Lord knows it all, right? He's seeing it all. So I forget where I was going with this. I lost my train of thought. But that's right. Yeah. The Lord remembers everything in the past while focusing on the present and future. I mean, hello, declaring the end from the beginning. And that's Isaiah 49. So yeah, the Lord be thinking past, present, future tense simultaneously all at once. So yeah, he does remember what the flip happened, with Jake, dude. And that's when Zechariah, the first chapter, he clearly emphasizes something, regarding that. Verse 15. So I can have Zechariah. Oh, go share it with me. This is the book of nope. But go share it with me. Alright, this is the book of. Wait, what? I wasn't Zechariah 1 and 15. You had me tripping when you talking about it was that verse. Unless. Oh, okay. I was reading a different verse. So I was right, Zechariah 1 and 15. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped for the affliction. Right, therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. Right, with mercies, dude. And obviously we know the Lord is dealing with the nation of Israel, starting off with the elect. But what do the elect have? Isaiah 55 and 3. Incline your ear and come unto me, hear, and your soul shall live, and I will make you an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Right? Okay, so and one example that comes to mind with David is that he committed adultery, with Bathsheba. Actually, he committed murder. No, he committed adultery, then murder. Right? So, basically a TLDR, he was looking, I think he was on the rooftop, and he was looking down, and he ended up, spotting Bathsheba, nude while bathing herself. Then he ended up, sleeping with her, if I'm not mistaken, and then he called over, it was Uriah the Hittite, so-called Hittite. That was just a geographical label because he was not really a Hittite. No, he was an Israelite living in the land of the Hittites. The other Apostle Tahar clarified that in an old video. And if I am not mistaken, Uriah was one of the mighty men. Correct me if I'm wrong. What's it called? I'm not gonna pull it out. Hold up. I am gonna pull it out. 2 Samuel 23 and 39. Uriah the Hittite, 30 and 7 and all, right? The 37 mighty men, huh? Which basically those are the special forces of the nation of Israel. Now, if you want concurrent special forces, well, that's the Alahayim. Those are your true special forces. As the Akim always make the mention, one angel is enough to wipe out all heathen militaries. Right? And those be with us. Those are them that are with us. How great is that? How great is that? I forget what precept it was, and I know it was in the book of 2 Maccabees, right? Where it speaks on the chariots, about how those be with us. Right? Hell, it was in the Psalms made the mention how, the chariots are 20,000. So a lot of them. Right? So continuing on. What was I? I lost my train of thought again. Right, well the point is the Lord. Oh yeah, the special forces. What's it called? The angels, which in the Hebrew is Malachim, if I am not mistaken. Malach. Not Malak. Malak means king. But Malach means angel, if I'm correct. Or in the Koine Greek, it would be angelos. Angelos. And I said Malachium. Yam is plural suffix for many. These are just more than one angel. And besides that, you got the prophets. And best believe, dude. Hey man, they got down the ancient world in the past lives. Our forefathers, right? Like during the time of Joshua. He had Jake, what's it called, kick literal ass against, the Ammonites. Hey, was it not the prophet Samuel that slew King Agag in pieces? Man, Jay get down. Jay got down on the heathen, dude. You know, and that's what's coming too. With spiritual power. I shall make the sharp threshing instrument, having teeth. Isaiah 41:15. Behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument, having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shalt make the hills as chaff. Thou shalt fan them away, and the wind shall carry them away, and the whirlwind shall scatter them, and thou shalt rejoice in the Lord Yahweh, and shalt glory in the Holy One of Israel. How about that, dude? Basically, we finna have like freaking, optic laser vision on some Homelander type shit, on some freaking Brightburn type shit, dude. How about that, Achim? Oh yeah. Imagine blowing holes in the heathen with laser vision. Yeah, one of the Achim talk about just by looking at them, a heathen head will explode. Implode. Hey, you have a good example of that in my favorite MCU or MCM, if you're, being technical with it being a multiverse now. A film, Doctor Strange 2, Madness Across the Multiverse, if I'm not mistaken, that's what it's entitled. But in one scene in one of the dimensions, you have Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch, and she's a Scarlet Witch in that film, right? Completely bugged out of her mind, dude. With the Darkhold. She's depressed over not having children, and she wants to be with her variant from a different, universe's children, right? That was the whole reason as to why she was the antagonist. But in one scene, she confronted the Illuminati, which in that universe, the Illuminati are basically just superheroes. And it's led by Mr. Fantastic. You also have Captain America, but as I forget the chick's name. Agent Carter or something? Agent Carter? Nah, I'm confusing it. It's not Agent Carter. Something else. No, I was right. It is Agent Carter. Captain Carter, Peggy Carter, as Captain America in that universe. And then what other members were there? Charles Xavier, Baron Mordo, Black Bolt. Yeah, Black Bolt's the point. What I was trying to talk about. Wanda Maximoff of the Scarlet Witch basically caused the Black Bolt's head to implode. Right, Mr. Fantastic was rambling, talking about some with one word, if I'm mistaken, with one word out of his mouth, he could defeat you or something like that. And Wanda was like, "What mouth?" And then they all looked towards Black Bolt. His mouth disappeared. And then Black Bolt flipped out and ended up, talking in his head, and his head freaking blew up. That goes to show you how gory and how gory those films have evolved over time. So there is an example. I digress. So yeah, hey, we finna be doing some Brightburn type stuff. Hey, you had Homelander, I believe it was in season 4, episode 4, I think, I recall correctly, where he goes back to that one basement science place where they would experiment on him as a child. And you had that one guy, I think his name was Patrick, I forget, that fat old geezer, that fat old Edomite. And Homelander had him jerk off, in front of everybody to humiliate him. And then when he couldn't, do the deed because he was up in age. And when you're old, your area languishes, if you will. He basically lasered him. He lasered his loins off. How about that? He blew a hole through his freaking pelvis, dude. How about that? And that's what Yahweh Hashem, which I be speaking about. He be talking about that, through the mouth of his prophets, man. Hey, what's it called? Fishers right now. hunters later. Fishing, the hunting. It's fishing season right now, but it's gonna be hunting season soon. And you know, with them Looney Tune episodes when it talks about what's it called, duck season or rabbit season, they get down, dude. Jake finna get down. I digress. However, I really lost my train of thought as well. What was I going into again? What was the topic lesson? I forget. Look with Shaba with me. Right, yeah, Zechariah 1:15. And it reads again, and I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. So, the Lord remembers every single mother flipping thing. Right? And what he finna do is just the nations, being the jealous power that he is on behalf of us. Alright, I'm gonna pull out the scripture. But should bear with me. For the controversy of Zion, which is one of our titles, right? Daughter of Zion. Zion, in the Hebrew, if I'm not mistaken, is like a one meaning monument. Alright, so, Isaiah 34 and 8. It reads, for its day, actually, I'm going to pull up Isaiah the 34th chapter. That's talking about the destruction of this place. Isaiah 34 and 2, for the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies, right? Talking about World War III. And it's no wonder as to why, the spirit of war is so heavy right now. And why in December there's an automatic, draft enrollment, for all, people in the United States, Babylon, whether you be undocumented resident, or something like that, citizen, it don't matter. And that goes to show you how unfair Esau is, because he out here taking liberties away if you're not, a natural-born citizen. And one of his draconian measures, which is also wickedness, is taking away citizenship. If you earned it being a non-native to the states. So that goes to show you his unfairness, that he's willing to strip liberties away. Natural rights and well, actually no, we still have natural rights. But certain liberties away. But they want to freaking enroll you to war. Well, that's really fulfillment of scripture, prophecy. First of all, Esau's the border of wickedness. He don't give a damn about anybody, right? He takes away the peace from the earth. But again, it's a fulfillment of prophecy. Time at the 13th chapter, the Lord mustered the host of battle. Isaiah 13 and 4, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord Yahweh of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. Right? Muster. What does that word muster mean? It means to assemble. Right? Assemble, congregate. Assemble troops, especially for inspection or in preparation for battle. Right? All things are heating up, rampant for that Third World War. And people be talking about, we've been telling you for decades now. No, where did you get that idea from? Where did you ever get that connotation that the scriptures really talk about World War III and that it's coming soon? You got it from the Hebrew Israelites, dude. Right? From the men of Great Millstone. And, obviously the Great Millstone camp, that ministry stems from the One West school. So this truth has been now for the past, 50 years or so, right? in 1969, 1970, with, the beloved and late Elder Abba Bivens, who opened up that school. And, from there, the rest was history. GMS is also the camp that taught the MOTB is the, the chippiest malice, right? You all over Facebook and when all nations, people from all nations, they believe that the chip is part, right? The real chip, the charagma, is the MOTB that's written of in Revelation, the 13th chapter. They get that idea from GMS. So, really, you have no right at all to say, we've been telling you. No. The men of the Lord at Green Millstone have been telling you, dude. And that goes to show you how the prophets have been mocked and scoffed and rebutted, right? Is that the proper term, rebutted? As a formal argument, evidence, or statement intended to contradict this, we've been rebutted, etc. Right? Condemned, humiliated. But people are starting to wake up and see the truth. Right? Though superficially, that there is, war brewing up. And even Esau's political scientists go into that. Right? There's a book I'm reading right now. It was published around the pandemic, which was several years ago now. Talks about how we're headed for a fascist regime. Dude, what's it called? We in it now, dude. They arrested Lady Liberty. In one of those protests or riots. I'm not sure which of the like it was, but there's a photo circulating of I believe it was ICE, or was it the police that arrested some chick dressed up as Lady Liberty. So they arresting your liberties, dude. So that goes to show you how this place is going backwards. It's contradicting itself. And again, time after Isaiah 10, Esau is all about draconian measures. Well, verse 1, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor, my people. Hey, and that's an example, to take away the right from the poor, my people. They be doing everything and anything to get down on Jake. Right? Hey, that's why time after Ezekiel 37 or 35. It was 35. It states in verse 2, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, O Mount Seir. Mount Seir obviously being the, archaic habitation of Edom. Well, modern Mount Seir would be Babylon. The glory of the Chaldees, excellency, Chaldee being, the elite. And, daughter of Babylon is, the Edomites, and they associate with Babylon. They associated with Babylon, aka America. So Mount Seir is America. I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. Why? Because it states in verse 5, Thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Right, so time after second Ezra, the 15th chapter, the slaughtering of the righteous, and the righteous blood, and how how those spirits be crying, crying, languishing, they hear moaning, bewildered and in anguish and completely exhausted that we get to keep suffering to this mother flipping day. All right, it's not a pleasant thing. I'm pissed, dude. Right? Hey, but that's why that's why the Lord is, mustering the host up to battle for that war, that coming war. Because time after Isaiah 34, verse 3, or actually verse 8, for it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. Right? In the NIV, New International Version, or whatever you pronounce it as, states, "For the Lord has a day of vengeance, a year of retribution, to uphold Zion's cause." Right? Edom's streams would be turned into pitch, her dust and the burning sulfur, her land would become blazing pitch. Talking about that thermonuclear fire, that lake of fire. In the KJV, verse 9 reads, "And the streams thereof shall be turned to pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever." Right? So this place is going downhill. This place is becoming a hag. Hey, a whore was already a low status, used up woman. Well, the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is gonna make that known. Yahweh is gonna make it known that America is worthless. He's gonna render it worthless and useless, dude. How about that? 2 Peter 3:10. Right? The elements shall melt with the fervent heat. Everything is made of elements. We're all made of elements. Chemicals are elements, right? So, hey, your buildings, your building is made out of brick and mortar or vinyl or freaking plastic, whatever the freaking hell, concrete, you name it, doesn't matter. Whatever building Esau be establishing, setting up, it's all going to cease to exist. It's going to be as though it had not been. Believe it now, Achim. Bajillion years from now, them new spirits, they're not going to know what America, I'm just kidding, of course they're going to know what America is, but to them it's going to be like a big old fairy tale too. They're like, what? I can't believe it actually happened. It's as though it had not been, because of how surreal it is. But it happened bajillion years ago. That's gonna be an astonishing thing for them new spirits, man. How about that? Hey, but everybody's gonna know what Babylon was. Regardless, because again, it's a bad example of how not to be. A memorial. Right? There's a priest that comes to mind, but I forget what priest that was in. I digress though. Right. Revelation. No, Second Ezra's. Right, yeah, Second Ezra's. It was Second Ezra's. The 15th, was it the 15th chapter? Right. Verse 9, "Therefore saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them." Right. "Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them not to dwell in the land of Egypt." Which time after Revelation 11:8, America is that city, that great city, and it's spiritually known as Egypt too. Hey, Egypt means Egypt means bondage, dude. And we wasn't hardcore bondage back then. Hey, we wasn't hardcore bondage in America too. At least Southern Kingdom was. No, yeah, Northern Kingdom was too. Yeah. Northern Kingdom had it first, but Southern Kingdom had it the worst. Right, Northern Kingdom were the first slaves, and that's where you had mofos like forget his name. One of them Edomite monks. Bernardo, I forget. Doesn't matter. But basically, he vouched. Because time after Obadiah 1, hey, some Edomites, they do have shame for the pain they inflicted on Jacob, right? So he was vouching for native rights and referred Esau to Southern Kingdom, and that's where that transatlantic slave trade then began to flourish, right? But yeah, Northern Kingdom were the first slaves here. All right, it's been that way since Columbus came. When he settled, I believe it was in Hispaniola, which is now Haiti and Dominican Republic. That island, those countries share. And that's where you have the so-called Tainos. They were, extorted and forced to mine, look for gold. And there are various accounts as to many atrocities that have been committed, like that one case we had two Edomite soldiers behead a little Israelite, because they wanted to take his parrot, a literal parrot, a bird. Just because they wanted to take his pet bird, they ended up beheading the Jake. And that's just one of many atrocities the so-called white man has inflicted on our people. And not only to our people, but the heathen as well. That's where you got that free Palestine crap, which we know is all by design too. All that propagation about, all that focus. It's all brought to you by him. To what design? Chaos, turmoil, trouble, and then establishes martial law for that. And being all of surveillance, right? Part of his ordo ab chaos. Manipulation of events to achieve a certain outcome. Which I can't even speak right now. Which Esau's rocking hard, coming in hard with them surveillance systems like Palantir, right? And for years they've been talking about smart cities. Hey, that's fulfillment of scripture, right? Esau wants to rule all nations, right? He knows they have but a short time, and so he's getting more feisty, he's getting more angsty, more demonic, right? And with that same understanding that he's becoming demonic, and it's showing, people are starting to hate this place. It made these small among the heathen. Obadiah 1 and 2. Right, so this place is falling hard. And time after Isaiah 34 and 8 makes mention for the controversy of Zion. Well, because the Lord is a jealous power. Jealousy, you got niggas out here, or you got them niggas big red face biatches talking about some jealousy is an insecurity. Oh my god, you're an incel, jealousy is an insecurity. What's it called? Believe it or not, but jealousy turns women off. Yeah, well, mofo, guess what? The Lord's a jealous power, dude. There's no insecurity. If you talk about jealousy being insecure, you're going off. You're being rebellious. Because, ultimately, biblically, a woman is a man's possession. That's in the book of Sirach, a.k.a. Ecclesiasticus. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession. I'm going to pull that quick precept out. Mother Afra, come on. Keyboard problems, man. All right, Ecclesiasticus 36 and 24. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like know himself in the pillar of rest. And yeah, what's it called? Hoes getting mad at that. And you had some nigga bitch, what's it called? I'm pissed, man. She recorded. I know Achim already did videos on that, but she recorded herself ripping pages, talking about a woman being submissive, and she was smoking, and she was using that to roll up a joint and smoke. What a freaking demon, dude. May Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai slay that goddamn buffoon. I don't give a damn about Eve, man. Be riotous, rebellious, and wicked. Overall wicked. I don't give a damn. I'm anti-wicked. I'm anti the border of wickedness, and I'm anti-wicked, man. I don't give a damn. Thus saith for I'm, what's it called? Really, thus saith Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai, time after the Psalms, the Lord detests the wicked, he's far from them. Right, and that's the thing, our will is the Lord's will, right? So whatever the Lord hates, we finna hate too, if what's it called, we talk about, woe be upon them, it's because the Lord had it to be so, for us to, wish evil upon them, right? The ways of man out of the Lord. So for me to, what's it called, condemn that that demon that ripped the pages talking about women being submissive and then smoked it. That was a Lord cursing her out. And Lord willing, And as it is written, the Lord shall accomplish that which he pleases. So Lord willing, hey, she does get her due to appease the wrath of the Lord. That is only scriptural. So anyways, what was I going at? Right, yeah, like what was I going to talk about? Talking about women being in possession. Right, yeah. What's it called? So, first of all, a woman that's a wife to a man is, the man's possession. So, if said wife is talking to another man, that's going to be a freaking problem, all right? That is a problem. And then they be talking about, oh, dad, it's jealousy turns women off. It's not supposed to turn you off, man. Hey, the other Apostle Gilbert made the mention how a woman is supposed to love her man. She's supposed to see her man as she sees the Lord. I think I have the quote. I think I wrote it down last time. I'm going to check on my notes. Right. Quotes from the other Apostle Gilbert. A woman is supposed to fall in love with you, not you fall in love with her. We fall in love with Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. To the woman, you're supposed to be her Lord. She's supposed to look at you like she's looking at the Lord, quote unquote. And this is verbatim, right? And keep in mind the thing that great man, the other Apostle Gilbert, said. It's founded on Scripture. The wisdom found in the Bible and the Apocrypha. Right. So, jealousy is a good thing. Hell, we the wife, or what's it called, daughter of Babylon, we're locking into a woman, a comely woman, a delicate woman. Right? Hey, we play the harlot, spiritual adultery, serving other gods. Lord got pissed off. He still wants us back, though. Saying that the same application of us being, his possession. Whenever the heathen, do what's dirty, the Lord being a jealous power is finna recompense the afflictor. I'm gonna pull out the definition for jealousy. I can't find it, but until the jealousy also ties in being protective of one's possessions. Right. Or that's a definition. What am I talking about? That is the main definition. Protective of one's, possessions. So, we get beat down. The Lord got pissed. The Lord is pissed off, and he finna, get down on the heathen for the what controversy of Zion. And that's why the book of Nahum is so significant. The first chapter, verse 2, Yahweh is jealous, and power is jealous, and the Lord Yahweh revengeth. The Lord Yahweh revengeth and is furious. The Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries and reserveth wrath for his enemies. But the point right there was that Yahweh is a jealous power. He's jealous. And then you read on, you understand that's referring to the ICBMs. So I just want to do a quick lesson on that, going into that World War III. It's all brought to you by Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai for the controversy of Zion. And Lord wills, an edifying lesson. To the next one, I do say shalom.